Let's turn our attention to the activities at the just concluded annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association, where the former president of the NBA, Olumide Akpata, touched on events that played out at the convention. Kemi Fola Adeyemo reports.
This is the twilight of the Olumide Akpata administration at the NBA as he chairs his last annual general meeting of the body holding at the Eko Atlantic City in Lagos. He apologizes to national delegates for the inconveniences they witnessed over the inadequate number of conference bags, which he says was caused by the vendor who reneged on their deal to supply the exact quality of bags by supplying a batch of inferior products which the NBA rejected. But Mr. Akpata vows to sanction any lawyer found to have looted the registration arena as a result of the delay by registration officials to give all delegates their materials.
But our colleagues broke into that hall. Our colleagues stole bags. Our colleagues stole phones. Our colleagues beat up staff. Because we have video evidence, we are going to get the experts to look through those videos. And you have my assurance, and you have YC's assurance that anybody found culpable for embarrassing our association and our nation like this will definitely be sanctioned.
The outgoing president also says the NBA is appealing the Abuja court order, which set aside the suspension of the National General Secretary Joyce Odua, saying the leadership took that step so as not to scuttle the annual General Conference. With the AGM now over, all is now set for the swearing-in of the new president of the NBA, Yakubu Mekiao, and his fellow executive committee members. Kemi Fola Adeyemo, TVC News, Lagos.
Welcome back, and joining me now to discuss this, I have lawyer and former Secretary General of the National Human Rights Committee at the Nigerian Bar Association, Bernard Oniga. Thank you for joining me.
It's my pleasure to be here.
All right, let's start with the APC presidential vice presidential candidate, Kashim Shettima. Some believe he shouldn't have dressed like that to NBA conference, while some think is inconsequential. What do you think?
We think that is inconsequential. What the man has to say and who he is and what he has achieved for himself is much more important than what he did put on. And it is not my place or the place of any other man to tell a man how to dress, how to look in public. You know, this is a former governor. He's a global citizen in all rights and respect. And I would want us to respect him to that extent. We welcomed him to our conference. He spoke on behalf of his principal, the presidential candidate for the All Progressive Congress, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And we had a good show, if you want to call it that way. I was a bit surprised when Nigerians were making mockery of his dress code. He didn't come out naked, and we must respect the fact that he wore exactly what he felt he was comfortable with, and we must respect it is within his private rights and liberties, and we must respect him to that extent.
All right, I also want to find out, were the candidates ultimately able to get their manifestos across during the conference?
You must understand that the theme of the conference and the 62nd General Conference of our association, the NBA, it was themed Bold Transitions, and basically it was not a platform for politicians to sell themselves or tell us their manifesto. It was basically to discuss a particular and a specific topic which hinged on democratic transitions in the 21st century. I can understand that if you give any politician anywhere in the world a platform, he would equally sell himself, and nobody's disputing that fact. But we did have a robust conversation on bold transitions as it has to do with political transitions. You would agree with me that our democracy is still young, you know, and all of the teething problems it is we experience in our national life is still bent on the fact that we are a growing democracy. And we must be honest with ourselves that we are learning through the process, and we are not going to be the same. We are going to grow as a nation, we are going to improve as a nation, and we are going to excel. So definitely we had conversations bordering around bold transitions as it has to relate and do with political transition as a nation. or democratic transition, as it were.
All right, finally, what do you make of this drama of the lawyers and delegates fighting over the conference bag, as well looting conference materials? You know, even phones were stolen. What do you make of this?
You know, it is not my place to hold brief for some of my colleagues who have behaved in an unruly and a disgraceful manner. I will not be holding brief for them. But except to lend my voice with that of our immediate past president, Mr. Olumide Akpata, and our newly sworn-in president, brand new president, Mr. Waisimi Ekeosin, Advocate of Nigeria, to say that anybody who is found wanting as an association will be punished. To that extent, I'll leave it there to say that we had a fantastic 62nd Annual General Conference. We had Chimamanda Adichie, who was keynote speaker at the opening session of the conference. Fantastic and brilliant speech. She spoke to the conscience of all of us as Nigerians. We had sessions that had to do with people with disability, focusing and talking about equality and all of that. It was important. For the first time in our association, we had a 7th president and 2 past presidents taking questions from lawyers and being accountable to lawyers as to the status and state of our association and the future of our association. It was a rewarding conference in so many ways. And so I don't want us to get distracted. It was about a few of us. And you always have that kind of people in every setting, in every family, in every society. So I must agree with you that that do not put the Nigerian Bar Association and lawyers like me out there in a good light. But it is just about a few of us. And we have a process for disciplining lawyers who have erred and who have disgraced our association in this manner. And I can assure you that you can follow through with the NBA. We will discipline our colleagues who have behaved in this manner. But I can assure you that it was also about the fact that we had a beautiful conference bag, and everybody felt that they needed to take a bag home. And the president did assure that everyone was going to take a bag home. So it was just a case of impatience. And it was at the point of distributing the bag that we had the crisis. Lawyers were not patient enough to join the queue, stay on the queue until it gets to their turn to take their bag. It's just one of those glitches we had at a beautifully organized conference, I must say. Exciting and inciting conversations went on. We looked at corruption in the judiciary and we discussed it extensively. And, you know, so it was a beautiful conference. So I will not hold brief for my colleagues, except for the fact that I will apologize also to Nigerians that that video out there does not represent lawyers like myself and other well-meaning lawyers. We have much more responsible colleagues, people who ply their trade as lawyers out there who are doing very well and who are great in character and in learning. And so that video does not define who the average Nigerian lawyer is. It is just an unfortunate incident, and I want us to take it as such. And I would expect that Nigerians would hear from us in no sooner time as to the disciplinary measures that will be meted out when the video is indeed reviewed by experts, as we hope to.
Right, that's a good place to leave it. And I must thank you two gentlemen for coming on the show, Mr. Olufemi and Mr. Bennett. Thank you for coming on the show.
Pleasure is mine.